This is the homework helper for Workbook 2-1, Rational Numbers. So let's take a look at question 1. As you can see, the directions for 1 through 8 are all the same, so you'll approach all the questions in that section the same way as the one we're about to do, question 1, and that is to simplify. We're simplifying the fraction. So when you simplify a fraction, what you have to do is find the greatest common factor of both the numerator and the denominator. So the greatest common factor of 6 and 9 in this case, 6 being my numerator, 9 being my denominator. Well, remember, factors are two numbers that multiply together to make a given number. So the factors of 6 are going to be 1 and 6 because 1 times 6 is 6, and 2 and 3 because 2 times 3 is 6. And for 9, they're going to be 1 and 9 because 1 times 9 is 9, and 3, and that's of course by itself because 3 times itself, 3 times 3 is 9. The biggest number that's on both lists is 3. And that's important because that's the number we're going to divide out of the numerator and the denominator to reduce the fraction. So I'm going to divide both of these by 3 at this point. And that's how I'm going to simplify. 6 divided by 3 is 2, 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 2/3 is my simplified fraction. There's nothing else I can take out of both 2 and 3 to make that fraction any, let's say, smaller, even though it's actually equivalent, smaller in terms of the actual numbers that are being represented. Okay, let's go to question 10, and as you can see, in 9 through 20, these are all going to be approached the same way as the one we're about to do, number 10. We're going to write the decimal as a fraction in simplest form. So as you saw in class today, the first thing you want to do when you're doing this, changing these two fractions, is you want to identify the place value of the last digit, the 8 in this case. So 8 is in the thousandths place. Remember, it goes after the decimal, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and if we had more here, it would be 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths, millions, so on and so forth. So that's in the thousandths place. That's going to be the denominator of my new fraction, 1,000. All right, and then what you want to do is you're going to take this without the decimal point and write it in the numerator. And that's going to give me 58 over 1,000. Now, we haven't taken care of the simplifying step like we did over here, but that is the fraction equivalent of 0.058. Now, before I go on to simplifying this, I want to point out in a question like number 14 or number 17 where there's a negative in front, do the exact same thing, but then when you're done, just stick a negative in front of whatever your answer happens to be. You don't have to let the negative factor into what you do. It's the same thing, just put a negative in front when you're done. So now we want to reduce here. Now, you can also use the shortcut method of listing factors if this is going to be too much work, and for 1,000 it would be a lot of work, I will admit. So the shortcut method, you're going to take your other number, in this case 58, lucky us, and you're just going to list the factors of 58 here. So we've got 1 and 58, and we've got 2 and 29, and 3 won't go in, and 4 won't go in, and 5 won't go in, and 6 will not go in, and 7 will not go in. And as you can see, you're probably doing this with a calculator at this point. When you take in 58 divided by 7, it spit out 8.28. So it's like 7 times 8.28. Well, the next number I would check would be 8. And as long as 8 doesn't go in, now I'm going to be going the other way, because when I do 58 divided by 8, I get 7.25. So see, I've gone from small number, big number, and now my numbers have flipped the order, big number to small number. That means we've really crossed all the markers. We went from basically 7 times 8, nearby, not exactly, to 8 times 7. So the numbers have flipped directions. That means we've crossed every number we need to. So now all you have to do here, if you're using the shortcut method, is figure out what's the biggest one that goes into my other number, 1,000. Well, 1,000 does not divide by 58. 1,000 does not divide by 29, but it does divide by that 2. So all I'm going to do is chop 2 out of both the numerator and the denominator here. And that's how I'm going to end up at my final answer here. And indeed, when I do that, I end up with 29 over 500.